Hello, Miss Brown. I don't know if you remember me, but it's me, Aylin, and I had you both in 3rd and 4th grade in grade school. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you've done for a lot of us in elementary school. Some of us had a really hard time, including I, and without your light and our light, I'm pretty sure some of us wouldn't be where we are today. Thank you so much for being that second mother that we always needed.
So, when I think of Coach Craig, two things come to mind. One being discipline, and two being why. From the beginning of the semester, Coach Craig made it very obvious that he held high standards for each individual within his class, as well as the curriculum was very tough, so it was obvious that we were going to be pushed to our greatest potential. So there were many obstacles, but he made it obvious. He made it so that we would be held to high standards, but he also let us know throughout the semester that we could accomplish those. There were times where people did bad, but he would go out of his way to have a talk with each individual that may be having that problem and explain to them that potentially it is just their efforts instead of ability. A lot of students that make it to calculus have relied on their potential or their ability throughout school. But once you get to a level like calculus, as far as academics, it is another factor that comes into play is ability and effort. So I think Craig does a great job with holding each student to a great standard. He has standards great for each student. And then second, I said why, reasoning. So Coach Craig covers each subject really good within his curriculum. A lot of math classes and classes overall that I attend, I walk into class and I learn the subject that I'm there for. After the class, I walk out and I possibly understand how to do that concept or how it works. But one thing Craig focuses on within his curriculum is why we learn what we learn. So one day I can walk into calculus and learn algorithms or why a line looks like it does on a graph. But someone else that would let me walk out of the class with not understanding how that is applicable in the real world would not benefit me. But something Craig does really good with throughout his class is the fact that each subject or each topic that we cover each day before we walk out, he will explain to us how it is applicable within a potential career, whether it be engineering, physics, whatever it may be. So I think Craig does a good job with explaining why we learn what we learn.
Miss Gooch really made an impact on my life because she just helped me really enjoy school, and anytime that we went in her class, it was a comfortable environment. We all had fun and we all became a real close family. And you got to talk to people and do experiments with people that you probably never would have hung out with in school otherwise. And she was always there for you whenever you needed to talk or you needed just a break. You could just go in her classroom and hang out for a while. She always pushed us to think outside of the box, and whether we were building toothpick bridges or paper roller coasters, she always made us take it one step further than we thought that we could. And she always made us just think a little bit harder than we thought that we could. And so she really made me enjoy thinking through that process and coming up with new solutions for things. And she made me realize how much I love engineering and sciences and math classes. Ms. Gooch, she was always there for you, whether you just had a little problem or you were excited about something that really wasn't a big deal. She would still listen and pretend like she cared. And she was just always super nice and cared about each of her students individually. She just made sure each person that came in her class felt like they were important.
Kelly Reed has really made an impact on my life by just being that different type of coach that I needed for my senior year. And knowing that transition from ending your sports to going out into the real world. She taught us that there was more to life than sports, and I think I really needed that for my senior year, to going from that transition to my high school career ending and going into the real world and starting college. And she really expressed how like people aren't going to remember like how many points you scored or assists or rebounds or stuff like that. People are going to remember how like you treated them and stuff like that. So I think she really showed us how important it was to go out into your community and do things, because especially like after our home games and stuff, little kids would come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, like, hey, you know, and it was just, I think that was more important to me than how many points I scored or how many assists I had and stuff like that, was just to see like the different types of kids who came up and, you know, because like we were their role models and stuff, and I think that made a bigger impact on me than the game of basketball. And the other thing was that she just cared. You know, there were many times where I'd come up to her because I had dual enrollment classes, and I was like, Kelly, like, I can't go today. Like, I'm just not feeling it. And she'd be like, no, Jenna, like, you're going to class. You know, like, you better be there in 10 minutes or I'm going to get you. And then there were many times where we would have, like, away games and stuff, and then she would know that I had, like, an 8-page paper due the next day. And I would come into practice just dragging and knowing that we had a 3-hour practice ahead of us because we were playing Cookville the next day. And she'd come up to me and she'd be like, hey, like, I ordered you a coffee. It'll be down here in 10 minutes. Like, let's go. Like, let's practice and stuff. And I think that's just what made us connect more, you know, that we went from having that coaches to player relationship to just having, like, a friendship, you know, that I could connect with her on a different level and I could go to her about anything. And I think that's what really how she made an impact on my 4 years of high school.
Although I'm blessed to say I've had countless outstanding educators throughout my academic journey, Stacy Simmons, who is my first and third grade teacher, stands out as the educator who has had the most positive influence on me thus far. When I was in the first grade, I was displaying key signs that I couldn't read or understand simple concepts that my peers easily grasped. My family friend, Kelly Masters, realized I could be struggling with a reading disability, so she worked with my mom to get me diagnosed with dyslexia. As soon as Miss Simmons figured out about my diagnosis, she made it her personal mission to help me succeed. For instance, whenever we would take reading tests, she would either read it out loud to the class as a whole or casually pull me beside her desk and read it to me personally. With her effort, I went from making F's to A's on nearly all my assignments. She gave me confidence whenever I thought that all hope was lost. I didn't think I could succeed because I was struggling with something that my peers weren't. But over time, I realized I could do whatever I set my mind to with the confidence that she gave me. I went from the student who thought that she couldn't succeed to the one who's now in the top 10 of her class. If it wouldn't have been for her effort and the confidence that she gave me, I would not be the student I am today. I'm thankful for my parents, my teacher, Miss Simmons, Kelly Masters, and ultimately the grace of God that helped me get this far. Thank you so much, Miss Simmons, for all that you've done for me and seeing something in me when I couldn't see anything in myself.
I would like to thank my elementary teacher, Miss Vaughn, for everything she's done for me. It was hard for me moving from Miami to Sparta, Tennessee. My second grade year, Miss Vaughn really made me feel welcomed, and she'd greet me with a smile. When I first moved here, my second grade year, I was very scared. I felt lonely. I was very shy, kept to myself. She really made me feel comfortable, and it made me happy. She really cared for me. I appreciate everything she's done for me. She would help me when I didn't understand, because when I first came here, I didn't know, well, I knew English, but I didn't really know, like, very fluently, and the people here tend to have a different accent towards the English, so I had a little bit of trouble, especially with projects that I didn't understand. So she would come to me and she would explain it to me. If it wasn't for you, I would have probably still been shy and still been uncomfortable and scared, and I wouldn't have made a lot of friends. So I want to say thank you. You've helped me a lot, really. I really appreciate it.